Choosing yourself is selfish. That's what you were taught, isn't it? From childhood, you were conditioned to believe that putting yourself first meant you were arrogant, unkind, maybe even unworthy of love. But what if that was the biggest lie you ever swallowed? What if the very thing you've been avoiding, choosing yourself, is the key to the deep healing and lasting inner peace you've been craving all along? You see, most people live their entire lives in a silent prison of repression. They bend, shrink, and betray their own needs to please others. They chase approval like a starving child chasing crumbs and call it love. But Carl Jung taught us that wholeness can only come when we reclaim what we've abandoned within ourselves. And that begins the moment you dare to choose you. Not out of selfishness, but out of respect for your true self. Here's the truth no one tells you. When you start choosing yourself first, everything changes. Your self-worth transforms, your boundaries strengthen, your relationships evolve, and life becomes lighter, freer, more aligned with who you were always meant to be. But how does this transformation unfold? What shifts can you expect when you finally say yes to yourself? That's exactly what we're about to explore. And trust me, by the end of this journey, you'll never see choosing yourself the same way again. Why choosing yourself is not selfish. It's essential for healing. Most people are taught from a young age that choosing yourself is selfish. We are conditioned to believe that putting our needs first makes us bad, unkind, or unlovable. But here's a truth few dare to say. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It's the foundation of true healing. Carl Jung would remind us that neglecting our own needs to serve others is often a mask for deep repression. The more we abandon ourselves to meet others' expectations, the further we drift from our true self. And this disconnection is what breeds anxiety, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. Reclaiming the right to choose yourself is not an act of ego, it is an act of survival and of love. Consider this. When you fly on a plane, the safety instructions always say, put your own oxygen mask on first. Why? Because you can't help anyone if you are suffocating. Life is no different. Many who struggle with self-worth have spent years giving and giving, hoping to earn love through self-sacrifice. But this only deepens the wound. Choosing yourself first means recognizing that your needs, feelings, and dreams matter. It means honoring your inner voice even when others disapprove. And far from making you selfish, this choice empowers you to give from a place of fullness, not depletion. I once worked with a client, a kind-hearted woman who always put her family before herself. She had no time for rest, no space for her passions. Unsurprisingly, she lived in a state of constant fatigue and simmering resentment. Through our work, she began to set simple boundaries, dedicating just 30 minutes a day to something she loved. The transformation was profound. As she chose herself first, her inner peace blossomed. Her relationships improved because she no longer gave from guilt, but from genuine love. This is the paradox. When you choose yourself, you actually become more available for others and far healthier for them. Choosing yourself is also an act of deep psychological healing. Jung taught that much of our suffering comes from living a life dictated by the shoulds imposed by parents, culture, or society. Every time you say yes to something that violates your truth, a part of your true self retreats further into the shadow. Reversing this pattern begins with courageous, conscious choices. It starts with one small, brave act, choosing yourself today, in one moment, one decision. Over time, this practice rewires your sense of self-worth and brings profound freedom. And here's where the magic begins. As you choose yourself more consistently, you will notice unexpected shifts, not just within, but around you. The way people treat you will change. The way you experience relationships will transform. Why? Because you will no longer vibrate from a place of lack or fear, but from an anchored, authentic core. And this leads us to the next powerful truth. How your relationships evolve when you finally dare to choose yourself first. How your relationships change when you choose yourself first. One of the most surprising and liberating shifts that happens when you start choosing yourself is how your relationships transform. At first, it can feel unsettling. You may notice that some people pull away or react negatively. Why? Because when you stop abandoning yourself to please others, the old dynamics of control and dependency begin to break. Those who benefited from your self-neglect may resist the change. But here's the deeper truth. Relationships built on self-sacrifice are not truly loving. They are rooted in unspoken bargains. I will betray myself if you give me approval. When you choose yourself, you end this unhealthy game and invite a higher quality of connection. A client once told me, "I'm afraid if I start saying no, I'll lose people." I replied, "You might, but you will also gain the space to attract those who value you for who you are, not for what you give them." And that's exactly what happened. As she began setting gentle boundaries, some old friendships faded, not out of cruelty, but because they were no longer aligned. In their place, new, richer relationships emerged. When you honor your self-worth, you naturally attract people who respect your true self. You move from relationships of obligation to relationships of genuine resonance. It's also important to understand that choosing yourself changes how you love. Many of us mistake martyrdom for love. We believe that to love is to give endlessly, even when it harms us. But real love honors both the self and the other. When you care for your own needs, you model healthy interdependence. You show others that it is possible to give with an open heart, without losing oneself in the process. This kind of love is magnetic. It draws people who value mutual respect, emotional maturity, and authentic connection. There will be challenges along the way. Choosing yourself can trigger guilt, especially if you were raised in environments where self-sacrifice was praised. You may hear the inner voice whispering, "You're selfish." This is not your truth. It is the echo of old conditioning. One way to navigate this is through simple daily practices. Before agreeing to any request, pause and ask, "Does this honor my needs and my inner peace?" If the answer is no, it is not selfish to decline. It is wise. Over time, this habit strengthens your self-worth and transforms the landscape of your relationships. And here's the beautiful paradox. As you build healthier relationships by choosing yourself, you also deepen the most important relationship of all, the one you have with yourself. You begin to see yourself with more compassion, respect, and trust. And this inner shift radiates outward, changing how you walk through the world. But even more profound is how your sense of self-worth and inner peace evolve as you continue this journey. And that is exactly where we'll go next. How your self-worth and inner peace evolve as you consistently choose yourself. Something beautiful begins to unfold. Your sense of self-worth starts to bloom, often in ways you never imagined. At first, the changes may seem subtle. You might notice yourself speaking more kindly to yourself. You begin to catch that inner critic and replace its harshness with understanding. But over time, these small shifts accumulate. You move from living on autopilot, constantly seeking external validation, to living anchored in an inner knowing, "I am enough." This is not arrogance. It is a quiet, steady confidence rooted in deep healing. And from this place, your experience of inner peace expands. Consider a man I once coached who had spent decades chasing achievement. Every milestone, the promotion, the perfect home, the admiration of peers, left him feeling empty. He had never truly chosen himself. He had chosen the life others expected of him. When he finally began honoring his own values and desires, the shift was profound. He left a career that drained him and pursued work that fulfilled him. More importantly, he stopped needing constant approval to feel worthy. His self-worth became intrinsic, and with it came a deep, abiding inner peace he had never known. This is the paradox of choosing yourself. The more you align with your true self, the less you seek validation from others, and the more naturally it tends to come. People are drawn to authenticity. They can feel when someone moves through life with clarity and self-respect. But the real gift is internal. You no longer depend on others to tell you who you are or how valuable you are. You become your own source of worth, and this inner stability transforms how you face life's inevitable challenges. Of course, the path is not always smooth. Old patterns of repression may resurface. Moments of doubt will arise. You might still hear the inner voice saying, "Who do you think you are to choose yourself?" This is normal. It is part of the old conditioning losing its grip. The key is to meet these moments with compassion, not judgment. Practices like mindfulness, journaling, and even affirmations can reinforce your new foundation. Simple phrases, such as, "I choose myself with love," or "My worth is not determined by others," can be surprisingly powerful when repeated consistently. And here's where the journey becomes even more empowering. As your self-worth and inner peace deepen, you gain the strength to do something many find difficult, to set clear boundaries without guilt. This is one of the most profound ways your life transforms when you choose yourself. And it's a skill that not only protects your well-being, but also honors your relationships. Let's explore how this unfolds next. How you begin to set boundaries. Without guilt, one of the most empowering shifts that comes from choosing yourself is the ability to set clear boundaries, and to do so without drowning in guilt. For many, this is uncharted territory. If you've spent a lifetime believing that love means self-sacrifice, saying no can feel almost unbearable. But here's the truth. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are bridges that allow for healthy connection. They define where you end and another begins. And when you honor your own limits, you create space for authentic relationships and deep inner peace. I once worked with a woman who struggled terribly with guilt around boundaries. She was the go-to person in her family, always saying yes, even when exhausted. Through our work, she began practicing small, courageous no's. At first, the guilt was intense, but as she held firm, something remarkable happened. Those who truly cared for her began to respect her more, and those who didn't fell away, revealing relationships that were based on convenience, not love. Each act of self-respect strengthened her self-worth and deepened her healing. It's important to understand that guilt often arises not because you are doing something wrong, but because you are doing something new. The inner voice that says, "You're selfish," is the echo of old conditioning. A powerful practice is to reframe guilt as a sign of growth. When you feel it after setting a boundary, say to yourself, "This is what it feels like to choose myself. I can sit with this discomfort. It will pass." Over time, the guilt fades, replaced by a profound sense of freedom and clarity. Another helpful approach is to start with boundaries that feel manageable. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Begin with one relationship or one situation where your needs are not being honored. Communicate your boundary clearly and calmly. For example, "I'm not available for that right now," or "I need time to recharge this weekend." Practice holding the line with compassion for yourself and others. As you gain confidence, setting boundaries will feel less like a battle and more like an act of love, both for yourself and those around you. And here's the deeper reward. As you master the art of setting boundaries, you align more fully with your true self. You stop betraying your needs to maintain harmony. You live from a place of integrity, and this alignment brings a lightness, a joy, a sense of inner peace that no amount of external approval can provide. But the journey doesn't end here. The final transformation is perhaps the most profound of all. How life itself begins to feel lighter, freer, and more aligned with who you truly are. And that is what we will explore next. How you align with your true self and life becomes lighter. As you consistently choose yourself, set boundaries, and cultivate deep self-worth, something almost magical begins to happen. life starts to feel lighter. The constant weight of guilt, resentment, and unmet expectations begins to dissolve. You stop living to fit a mold created by others. Instead, you begin living from your true self, a self that is whole, worthy, and free. This is one of the most profound gifts of this journey. Not that life becomes perfect, but that it becomes authentic. And authenticity brings with it a deep sense of inner peace that no external achievement can replicate. I remember a man who spent years trying to be the perfect son, the perfect employee, the perfect friend. He was always performing, always seeking approval. When he began choosing himself, pursuing his passions, honoring his needs and setting boundaries, at first, he feared rejection, but something unexpected unfolded. The people who mattered most respected him more. His relationships deepened, and most importantly, he felt free. He no longer carried the invisible burden of being someone he wasn't. This is the essence of aligning with your true self. You stop living for the story others wrote for you and start writing your own. As this alignment deepens, your choices shift. You stop saying yes out of obligation. You pursue relationships, work, and experiences that resonate with your authentic values. You begin to trust your intuition more, listening to the quiet wisdom within. And as you do, anxiety diminishes. Inner peace grows. Life feels more spacious. You find joy in the simple moments. A walk in nature, a heartfelt conversation, time spent in solitude. The constant striving and proving fade, replaced by a gentle sense of being at home within yourself. Of course, this journey is not without its challenges. There will be moments when old patterns resurface, times when you doubt your worth or feel tempted to slip back into self-abandonment. This is natural. Healing is not linear, but the more you honor your true self, the more resilient you become. You learn to navigate these moments with compassion and grace, trusting that each step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. Over time, this creates a profound shift in how you experience life, from one of constant tension to one of increasing flow and ease. And perhaps the greatest gift is this: as you align with your true self, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage becomes a beacon. You show those around you that it is possible to live with integrity, to choose oneself without apology, and to create a life grounded in self-worth, healing, and inner peace. And as this ripple spreads, it creates a more compassionate, authentic world, one choice at a time. Now that you've seen how life transforms when you choose yourself first, the real question is, will you do it? Will you continue sacrificing your needs, abandoning your true self, and living for the approval of others? Or will you take the courageous step toward healing, self-respect, and true inner peace? Look at your life right now. In what areas are you still betraying yourself? Where are you saying yes when your heart screams no? What parts of your self-worth still depend on pleasing those around you? The answers to these questions hold the key to your next level of freedom. And remember, every small act of choosing yourself sends a powerful message to your psyche. I matter. I am enough. I will honor who I truly am. So I invite you, today, to take one small step. Set a boundary you've been afraid to set. Say no to one thing that drains your energy. Say yes to one thing that nourishes your soul. Watch what shifts. Watch how your inner peace begins to expand. And as this journey unfolds, remember, you are not alone. This is a path we walk together. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's one way you can choose yourself this week? What old belief about self-worth are you ready to let go of? Share your reflections in the comments. Your courage may inspire someone else. And if this message resonates with you, be sure to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Here at Shadow and Light, we explore the timeless wisdom of Jung and the path to living as your most authentic, healed self. There is so much more to uncover, and your next insight might just be one click away.